Probably, for the first time, there are some clear statistics on the state of unemployment among youth in Malaysia, especially graduates. Bank Negara's latest annual report has devoted a section to the unemployment among youth, touching on Malaysia's position compared to other countries and what the possible long-term implications are and measures that need to be taken. The bright side of the survey is that Malaysia is not alone in facing the problem of unemployed youth. Other countries in the region are also facing the same predicament, where a large number of youth, those between the ages of 15 and 24, are unemployed. According to the survey based on 2015 numbers, when the national unemployment figure was at 3.1%, the unemployment rate among youth was about 10.7%, 3 times the national average. Among the youth in the workforce, the percentage of those unemployed is higher among those with a tertiary education compared to the ones without a tertiary education. In 2015, of the 405,000 youth with a tertiary education, 15.3% were unemployed. Compare this to the unemployment among those without a tertiary education, where out of the 2.162 million youth without tertiary education, only 9.38% were unemployed. The annual report cited a study by the Minister of Education that stated that only 53% of the 273,373 graduates in 2015 were employed within 6 months of graduating. Another 80% opted to pursue their studies, while 34% were unemployed. In terms of salaries, 54% of graduates who were employed earned less than 2,000 ringgit a month. Put in a nutshell, only half of those who graduate are able to secure a job, while a quarter are jobless 6 months after getting their scrolls. And all of the graduates who have secured a job, about half are earning less than 2,000 ringgit. We interviewed some students to get some views from them regarding these issues.
Hi, I'm YUSOFF. I'm graduated from IIUM in HCS Communication. Yeah, I totally agree with that because we have a lot of graduates who still didn't have a secure job.
Assalamualaikum. Nama saya FATIN BINTI MOHAMAD. Merupakan graduan tahun 2017 daripada IIUM Gombak. Saya bersetuju dengan statement bahawa unemployment rate lately memang sangat tinggi dan kita sangat susahlah untuk dapat kerja. Dan saya sebagai seorang pemohon kerja di Malaysia setakat ini sebagai fresh grad, rasanya memang government maupun swasta dua-dua susah sebenarnya nak masuk. Saya banyak mohon kepada kerajaan, tapi harapkan reply pun susahlah sebenarnya. Swasta reply tapi kita tak dapat jawapan lagi. So sama je sebenarnya, government ke swasta, dua-dua sebenarnya memang susah nak tembus buat masa sekarang.
Okay, my name NURUL binti Halim Yatim, course Economics, Bachelor in Accounting. For the first question, there are some unemployment issue among fresh graduate because there's some graduate searching for their career dreams or searching for their parts and some part that jobs that have offer better position, secure their position there. Some may have unemployment issue because they cannot secure the interview skills during the interview session. They make some other unemployment issue, but they found the other ways to start a business or some other starting from the other parts from their courses.
Hello, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad the graduates of Kuliah of IRK HS Psychology. So today the occasion is Okay, of course, I agree with the unemployment rates in Malaysia. We know that 1 out of 3 graduates, they are still not having land their job yet, because we know, look at the reality, the job market. 10% of the job market provided by the government, and the rest is provided by the private sector and also the volunteer body. So looking at this reality and the cost of living, so we know that the unemployment rate is quite high in Malaysia, and based on this reality, we sure has something to do with this problem that might come to the solution.
I'm planning to do business. I'm opening my own business. I have my own business right after I graduated. So I'm planning to make it more bigger than what I have right now, and inshallah I will still involving in entrepreneurship.
After this, saya mempunyai harapan lagi kepada sektor kerajaan. So, saya akan berusahalah untuk masuk salah satu kementerian di jabatan kerajaan.
Okay, my plan for the graduate, I'm working in the audit industry for the next 2 to 3 years while taking my SCA part-time, and have an MIA title for the next 3 years, and perhaps after that will further my study in master or PhD.
My plan after graduation is to furthering my studies, masters in counselling, and at the same time I'm looking for the part-time job because I want to see how the industrial body works, so that I can help my research on it.
To have some more clarification, we interview lecturer from Department of Economics to get some facts about the current situation.
Okay, so we are talking about unemployment, right? Okay, for among graduates. Okay, first of all, you have to look in terms of the number or how we calculate unemployment, yeah? Because when we say about graduates, it's not necessary the total unemployment is from graduates, from higher level education student who are graduating only, but it could be also from school leavers, not necessarily with higher education lah. So in that case, it has to be focused on just a number of students who are from highly education level. So in terms of the numbers, we found that in the news and so on, we find that most of the numbers of graduates now, they have difficulties to get a job, right? Okay, to get at least job, certain job lah. One job. Some are doing part-time, so it's depend on the calculation of unemployment, because sometimes in some country the employment are including the part-time, so part-time job, but basically it will be underestimate lah the amount of unemployment. Basically when we talk about employment, basically from the full-time employment instead of a part-time. So in that case, if you look at in terms of number, it's even bigger, right? So when we talk about graduates, what's the factors that might affect these numbers of people unemployed? Basically, is one of the reasons is because of economic situation, because we have a problem now of declining economy, especially when we talk about the GDP itself is going down. So that is one of the factors that contributing to this unavailability of the job. So that is one of the reasons. And instead of because of the investment that FDI, which is getting declining now in the economy in our country, so that is also another factors that contribute to the low GDP, that there are some pull out of investment from outside, especially from Japan, right? Go to China. So this is all factors that affect the economic situation that might contribute to the number of job available is getting lesser. That is definitely one of the reason. This is one of the types of unemployment that the government has to take care lah, because what happen is that if you are not creating a job, it will cause us what we call the cyclical unemployment. So that is very serious problem. Okay. In terms of from the student itself, another factor is from the student itself. I don't think so it's a problem basically, because every university nowadays are having their own curriculum, basically are trying to cater for these skills for the student. In fact, for our university, students are having more than one language can be learned in the university that enable them to get more, better job. So I don't think so. The graduates problem is from the student itself. Basically, yes, it could be some of the factor, but the program that we have in every university nowadays are catered for all these skills. It's just that whether you are performing or not, that's another things lah, yeah. Okay, and probably it could be because of the preparation of the student to go to the working environment probably is lacking. Yeah, that the skill is there. It's just that they don't have experiences. Some program they don't have like program of training. What we call it, practical training and so on. So this might be a possibility that they might get less job. But if I ask many of my past students, yeah, graduate students, most of them get a job. Yeah, at least a part-time job, temporary lah, before they go to the permanent job. And I think most of them have a very high few skills that can enable them to get better job. I'm not sure about other universities, but I believe that all universities are trying to get their students employable. Yeah, they of course they have some courses and some program for that. So that could be, in other words, one of the reason why we find that the argument that saying that our student is not good and so on and so forth, I don't think so. Yeah, basically, my concern is the economy is one of the important situation. Okay, important situation, because if there is no job, none of our students will get employed. Yeah, in other words. Yeah, and basically is that the government should encourage this what we call new skills to the program that enable the student to be independent, not depending on employed job, rather than having what we call it their own entrepreneurship, businesses and so on. So this will actually increase the number of job available, not just for the student but also for others. So I think that will be the step that the government should do to solve this problem, instead of blaming the skills is unavailable in the university, the student is not good enough, yeah, the graduate is not good enough. During interview, people can probably, a good student can be nervous, and might not be able to answer some of the questions. So basically, I don't think that is because of the student. Okay, if you employ, you give a chance to the student, you will see their talent. So that is the thing. You cannot get immediately a good student. You have to hire them first to get the talents come through, or get through to realize their talents and their skills and experience, rather than you just ignore them, yeah, and not accept them in your company, whereas you didn't know what are their skills. Yes? So in other words, these are the steps that the company should do, and the government should encourage, accommodate this with so many training and so on and so forth. I believe the government now is doing that. Okay, they also provide some skills, entrepreneurship skills, and also skill after graduates in order to enable the student to get better jobs, or at least a job. Yeah, because sometimes even the first job is not obtained by the student. That's normally the problem that we face. And probably another thing is just that our education system, one of the factors that might cause this problem is that we have a big number of students in one time, and in fact our education system from the school systems did not actually provide the platform for these graduates in order to show their own experience and their own skills and so on, which is not depend on the job outside there. Okay, some of the students, they have their own skills that they can create their own job basically, rather than depending on others. So we cannot depend on the data or calculation from how many people who are employed. It could be who are getting self-employed after graduation. That is much better. Yeah, rather than just depending on the number of people who are employed. So in this case, our education system must cater for this, yeah, especially from the lower level, yeah, to show their talent and also their skills from the lower level of education, not just waiting until they are graduating. So this is a bit where the major thing that the government has to do in order to change our education system, yeah, because if you go outside there, in, for example, Western country, even a student after school, they already can create their own job, yeah. So meaning to say that not necessary for you to go to the universities sometimes, is it? Not waiting for higher education, because our purpose is to get everybody employed, yeah, not necessary. I know education is very important, but then people can learn, yeah, through their experience, through their job experience, and so on and so forth. And we find that students who already have a job, yeah, they still come back to the university to learn. So basically, these are the what we call it long life learning. That is much better than just up until a certain level of education. So this is, I believe, that it must be changed in our education system. Yeah, the potential for the graduates to be employed is not just depend on you finish your studies, then you must get employed. Not necessary. It can be starting from the very beginning. Yeah, because some students, they have that talent. So I think that's my answers for that. Yeah.
Alright.
Okay.
In order to get some view from the company side, we also interview lecturer from Department of Business Administration.
That there's a high degree of unemployment among fresh graduates. I think it is a cause for concern. I think it's a cause for concern because I think that's why many universities are trying to equip students with more employable skills. And I think a good way of doing that is trying to get more industry practitioners to come and give talks to our students. And I think it's a good idea if students can actually attend these talks and ask questions to the industry. What kind of skills do you need from us? You understand? Don't just keep quiet at these talks. When we have talks, alhamdulillah, we've got kuliah inviting Malaysian Airlines. I'm not sure which other company is coming this Friday or it came last Friday. I can't remember. There was the teh tarik session with the, okay, right? So this is the opportunity for students to find out what kind of skills they should equip themselves with, so that inshallah once they reach graduation and they want to enter the job market, they have the skills that are needed or required by industry. Because in the university, our subject courses will focus on theory, but also the assignments tend to try and equip you with more practical skills. But at the same time, the universities also try and assist you even further with the alumni and careers unit in Office of Industrial Link. They will have talks, they will have seminars, they have training programs, because they want our students to be employable. Because at the end of the day, what is the use of your degree? Is for you to help you get a job, right? So at the same time, once you enter the job market and you're trying to apply for jobs and things like that, you also need to prepare yourself. We've had many stories from heads of HR, recruiters and things like that, where when the fresh graduates come for interview, they are not prepared. They are not mentally or even prepared for the job interview. Because when the interviewers ask questions, what do you know about our company? The students cannot answer. The graduates cannot answer. They don't know anything. They don't know anything about the job that they're applying for. They don't know anything about the company they're applying to. They don't know who they're speaking to either, right? And they don't know what are their expectations, right? So when you go for interview, it's not just turning up with your certificates. There has to be a lot of preparation before that, right? Research, right? Reading up, learning about latest issues, even Googling about the company. What are the latest issues that the company is facing? Are they facing a merger? Are they facing acquisition, right? Are they investing? Did they just, get registered in the stock market? All of that information will show what is the capacity of the company, and also it shows the interviewer that you are aware of the issues surrounding that company. Because then normally the company will always ask, or usually they'll ask, what can you contribute to my company? So how are you going to answer if you know nothing about the company? Right? Because we want to try and see how our skills and capabilities can match what the company needs at that time that the company is going through something. You understand? Because let's say the company is going through a merger. Yeah? They are very rocky at the moment, shaky. Right? They are not sure what is going to happen and how are things going to be. So if they ask how can you contribute to the company, and you talk more about adaptability, right, contributing in however way you can, that you are willing to go with the flow, right, you will try and assist, support in whatever capacity the company needs, then that is more on gaining security in that job, right? But if you have no idea how you're going to contribute to what the company is going through, there's a less opportunity for employment. Jobs are there, right? Many jobs. Unfortunately, the companies are saying that we don't see anybody of quality coming to our interviews, or they come to our interviews but we don't see the quality that we need when we apply them, you know. So when we talk about graduates and employability, graduates are there, and are they employable? I would say many are not employable because they don't equip themselves. It's not the fault of the industry. I put the blame on the students, the graduates. We lecturers can only help so much. You know, we tell our students, please read, please attend talks, please ask questions, right? Please find out what is going on. Okay, talk to the industry personnel, go for the training under alumni career services and things like that, you know, so that makes yourself employable. Yeah, mix around with the international community, right? Mix around with international community so that you know what is happening at a global stage, right? Because, for example, international business. When you talk about international business, you are talking about cultural awareness. And you don't want to be facing cultural problems at your job. You want to be already sensitive to cultural awareness while you're still studying, right? So that when you go to the job, you are already familiar with how to greet people of certain cultures. You know what certain cultures allow, what they don't allow, how they behave, how they work, how they react. So that's easy for you to adapt and work with them, you know. So soft skills are just as important as hard skills. When we talk about employability, it's not just your hard skills which you get in the degree, but the people skills are so important, right? So when I talk to my former students who are holding managerial or senior managerial positions in organizations, when I talk to them, what is your biggest challenge? They say the biggest challenge is how do you maintain employee morale when the company is very competitive or in a turbulent environment. You know, it's how you deal with people. And if you don't have that skill, you have a problem. You won't be able to talk to a client if you don't get a job, isn't it? How do you talk to a client if you have no company that you're not employed by, isn't it? So as long as you get a foot in the door, right, that means you just get yourself in that company. Then you work hard and you can move places, you know, within that company if you feel you fit well with the company. But many comments that I get from organizations is that unfortunately fresh graduates are too demanding, right? They demand this salary, they demand these benefits, they want this kind of job and this kind of things just because they have a degree. Nowadays, a degree is just a basic. Many already have masters, and even those without masters have at least 15 years working experience. You have barely just finished your courses, no experience. Some of them haven't even got their convocation yet, and you're already demanding like 3,000, 4,000 ringgit. You know, I joined at even 1,008. What I mean is that you should ask for a fair price. Look at the market rate. Don't go beyond the market rate and demand too much, right? Without being able to deliver your own things. People tend to watch and wait first. Because, okay, definitely cost of living will play a large role. In how much you can demand, right? Obviously, those living in bigger cities, you would need to have a higher income in order to be able to survive or support your family. So normally companies do provide what we call cost of living allowance. Depending on the area or the city you're in. If you were living and working in Kuala Lumpur, cost of living allowance will be higher compared to if you work in Elosta and Kedah, cost of living allowance will be much less. And they may negotiate harder, the companies will negotiate harder for a lower salary for those working in what we call non-big cities. Whereas those who are working in the bigger cities, they can understand why the employees will ask for a higher salary. It's just a matter of survival, you know. But that's what I mean. You have to ask for a fair salary depending on where you are going to be working, you know. And many graduates, right after they graduate, they start having many credit cards. That is not a good practice to have. So they start buying on minimum and they start paying just minimum. So you're incurring a lot of debt. When you incur a lot of debt, you feel pressured to get a better job. But if you cannot deliver, you have a problem as well, right? And people just, immediately they get the salary, they quickly go and buy a 70,000 ringgit car or 80,000 ringgit car like a Toyota Vios. Stick to lower end and slowly build up your car. The academic fees that they have to pay back, any kind of loans and such they have to pay back, how much they contribute to their parents and things like that, there's quite a lot. They might. Considering that economy is quite tight, quite not so secure or stable at the moment, I think that companies are more cautious about who they hire, or they limit the number of people they hire, and they would definitely target those with work experience, which is a vicious cycle. They want people with experience, which makes it difficult for fresh graduates to get a job, right? Because if they don't get a job, they don't get the experience. If they don't have the experience, companies won't hire them, and companies want people with experience. So the fresh graduates are stuck, right? So that's why don't go for large organizations sometimes. Go for the smaller organizations, which may not be able to pay you very much, but at least you'll get your experience, right? 2 years, 3 years job experience, lower income, but you're learning more skills. Because you are in a smaller organization, you're expected to do more things. So you equip yourself with more abilities, which you will include in your CV, right? What you are capable of doing, what projects you handled, everything like that. Because in a larger organization, there are many other people with very specific tasks. So you are only working in one small area. You only equip yourself with 1 or 2 skills. Whereas in a smaller organization, yes, less pay, but more skills. 2 or 3 years in those kind of environment, then you can go to a larger job, or larger company, which are looking for people with experience, and you have more skills.
In conclusion, we can say that the unemployment issues among the fresh graduates are basically due to the declining of the economy. However, students also need to equip themselves with employable skills so that they can compete in the resource market. They need to fully utilize all the opportunity that offered by the university, such as practical training, entrepreneur skills, career development, and etc.